Hello, everybody. Welcome to what used to be called Into the Wilderness of the Authentic Path. I'm with Karine Labrosse, and we're shifting a little bit the theme, more vlogging, more on the go on what's really happening in the now. And today we really want to dive into the subject of deconstruction as we are creating. Deconstruction during creation. And Karine is here to ask some questions, and we're here to simply be in the present and channel what wants to be channeled based on, what answers want to come right now. And that's how we love to roll. And that's what we are also here to teach you, which is how to trust the intuitive voice that is constantly accessible when you create space inside your body. And this is a platform where we get to share. Hi, Karine.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We're just laughing because just 2 minutes ago we were laughing because we're trying to ground a theme, and it's all about frequencies, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, we hear all the dissonance frequencies and how to tune in when we have different frequencies to play with. And the truth is, we just got to keep going and we got to keep moving. And our center is really our asset in things like this because we have to be honest, everything's moving so fast lately and things are hectic in the world. So, where is our center in all of this and where is our power? Because really, without this center and without this deep anchoring within ourselves, we get really lost. We get
Mm.
lost in everything that's happening that, by all means we have enormous compassion for, but we get lost in the emotional realm, in the thought realm, in the right and wrong realm, when honestly, and this is what is being promoted here, is that the ultimate essence of truth, because what is true for you might not be true for me, but the essence of truth lies into this present moment and into your center, into our own center. And this is what we are opening here, a channel coming from that center that is also feeling all the energies around and feeling all the different frequencies around and feeling the gaps between the denser aspects of life and also the highest aspects of life. But how to keep, again, our clarity and our center in all of this. And we're here to share about this because this is the path that we are choosing every day.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what you said about like the dissonance in frequency and everything that's happening around. I think that sometimes it's hard to focus inside when there's a lot going on, like destruction of system, of beliefs, of projects, of ideas that we have. How do you deal with that personally?
Sometimes it's chaotic. And I mean, a lot of times clarity is not necessarily there now, but it's this constant habit to realize when the channel is being blurred by the external world. And like, I mean, honestly, without an everyday practice where I clear my energy, where I go back to center many times per day, where, I meditate or I'm connecting intimately with my body, or I use bioresonance, or I nourish myself well, or I go to nature. Honestly, it is not easy. It is not easy because we become our environment for sure. And we are very well um, influenced, by the collective mind. So it's a simple question and a big question at the same time. So the simplicity of it is find a practice that brings you in your center on a daily basis. Really make it a point to have a daily hygiene practice where you clear your energy and where you're grounding yourself, where you're like, what is mine and what is not mine? And practicing differentiating what is yours and what is
Mm.
not yours. What frequencies are you actually following? And what frequencies are old and you're saying no to? Because you're always going to be flirted by the old frequencies that correspond to your old design, your old life setup, things that are no longer required for the highest embodiment, for the highest service you're here to bring, for the highest frequencies you're here to transmit. So the practice is always find your center, notice, differentiate, choose, and walk based on what you're choosing. Be in coherence with the frequencies that you're choosing, with the powers inner powers that are aligned with these frequencies. And this requires the destruction of the old. This requires inner destruction, meaning the old tensions, meaning the old frequencies, meaning the purges that need to happen from our bodies, meaning also accepting that some ideas, visions, dreams, relationships, patterns, mental patterns, habits, foods that we eat need to be let go of. And the faster that, the highest frequencies that we connect with, the faster it goes. The faster we need to say yes, no, this goes, this, yes. And it becomes this art of being in the field of creation rather than thinking about what to create, which is it's two different things. Being in the field of creation, it's being in this frequency where all information exists and where your body is a channel to bring to the world what's required in the now. What's required in the now, the frequency that's required, the form and shape that's required, the words that are required in the now. And obviously, as visionaries, as business owners or service builders, of course, we have visions and we're like, okay, let's create a structure around this frequency, around this service. But even so, like I was going through this in the last month of feeling two different frequencies in one of my projects, which is the membership, or really the embodiment practice that I really feel called to share with a lot more people in the world. But I was really, really, really hooked on a vision that was at a frequency and at a density that my body kept telling me, hey, this is really heavy. Like, you're not supposed to be carrying this. And Karine, like, you're like an amazing friend and reflected this back to me. You're like, Jen, your soul is calling for something different. I feel that this project is a bit old. Like, notice. And like right away when you said this, Karine, like I felt my soul expanding and I'm like, yes, this is true. And I made the decision on the spot to release, let's say, 50% of the vision for now, really trusting that the mystery of life is always constantly here, meaning that by leaning into my zone of genius more, leaning into the frequency that my soul is really being called by now, I am of service. And I will be able to have lenses that will be able to address this vision with more clarity, rather than being really in the density and the raw material of the structure, like always in the structure and the details and the team meetings that were honestly draining my energy. I realized that I entered in a model that was, I don't like saying masculine, feminine. I know we speak a lot about the masculine way and the feminine way, but it was just the structure that was being put in place was simply too much in the detail rather than in the flow of creation. So it's a simple adjustment of where to focus now, where to put attention now, so that the energy starts lifting up, so that we have more clarity. And then, God knows, maybe the whole structure and system will want to be born at one point, but it cannot be born if I operate at a frequency that is not of my highest service, because it keeps me stuck. And so my energy is a lot more free right now when I chose to release 50% of the vision, to simplify it, be in the zone of genius and focus there. So there is this portion of deconstruction that you named, Karine, that is constantly there. And again, the faster we go, the faster we get to release systems and structure. And it's not comfortable, obviously. It's an art. And it comes with practice and resilience in the nervous system of knowing that really this is part of the game of not being attached to ideas, not being attached to visions, that everything comes into place, that the magic comes from leaning into the mystery of life and into the listening of what's required now. And we are going through hard times and lately, and where I'm noticing my energy going is that I asked Spirit, I asked God, I'm like, how can I be really genuinely of service right now? And it's telling me, contact all your friends, like the friends that are really like in the line of fire right now. It doesn't tell me like go and like promote all of this online. It could have, right? It could have named stuff like this. But so it's really the art of following guidance based on the intention of service in the highest frequency. And it will look one day in a format and another day in another format, and it will obviously change from one person to the other. And I think this is where peace with oneself come in, and to not stay stuck in freezing, right? Because we can be frozen, and I have been frozen a bit lately on, how to move into circumstances, like during circumstances like this, worldly circumstances. And the truth is, I need to get moving. We need to get moving and really follow this guidance. If it's staying in silence and in prayer, that's what it is. If it's promoting something online and really bringing light to people in big networks, that's what it is. If it's, keeping on promoting your things, this is what it is. And for me, it was direct contact, compassion from far, energy work from far, really getting not acquainted, but getting informed about what's really happening, which is not something that I often do, to go and watch the news. But this time specifically, guidance told me, you go and you watch what's happening. You get yourself informed. Yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting to learn that balance between getting information from outside and then getting information from inside. Because as you said, usually you don't really go get information from outside. You lean more into yourself. But now the guidance was telling you, no, you need to listen. You need to. So it's like, for me, it's kind of a dance, and the embodiment practice also helps us with that, because then you learn to listen to the messages and also listen to your inner guidance. So you see it that way, like that kind of learning to dance between external and internal, and all that's coming, and all that's coming also from within.
Definitely. And it's, again, this art to not get lost in the external, but to use the external as data, as information. When we choose to be led by soul, it's not in the realm of judgment per se, of judgment of right and wrong, and judgment on information or what type of information. It's all data. It's all different energies and frequencies. And then it's like our computer says, okay, well, this is what's happening right now. Therefore, this is what's required. It's kind of like input, output, input, output, input, output, and the art of responding. And the embodiment practice is exactly the same in a microcosm of the body, right? It's the same practice of responding. So attention is in, bone structure is grounded on Mother Earth, energy starts circulating, inner information starts circulating. Obviously, outer information is always there in the outer field, but the practice really brings internal attention. And then the body responds by moving subtly. It moves, the bones start moving, the position, the posture start moving organically based on the ground and based on the information that's inside. And it's organically moving you towards more spaciousness, more energy release from your inner tensions, more truth, more tapping into the depth of the voice of your tissues, the wisdom that you hold inside. All of this is organic. So what I find amazingly beautiful about this practice is that we have a playground within ourselves to learn. It's a laboratory. It's a school where we get to study our relationship to the outside world from the inside. We get to really see all the dynamics we play outside, inside. So it's kind of the microcosm. That's what I call the microcosm. And up to the point of, like, yeah, our cells, how do they breathe? Our organs, how do they breathe? So for me, it's beyond an art. It's like also a love, a love from, it's a love for ourselves, but for soul, body, being, everything that is in the human realm, body realm, but human experience also, because there's a lot of vulnerability that's found inside the body. A lot of pieces that are shaky, that are traumatized, that are wounded, but with the process we get to learn that with so much compassion and love and presence and care and welcoming, these parts uh get super joyful, you know, when they receive such quality of
Mm.
presence, and then they give back naturally to your body. So this, you know, this is answering the question that you asked, but if we bring it back to the macrocosm of things, everything operates the same way, you know, from a body to a group of people to a city to a country to the whole planet. The macrocosm of things, it's all an, let's say, an organized it's an organism, right? it's
Mm.
an it's an entity that operates in the same kind of laws that we find inside. It's the same movements, the same principles, but there's a lot more information, obviously. And one thing that I got to learn, let's say in the last, you know, good 15 years, that it's a daily practice and commitment and devotion that I have, is that when we hold this tension inside, life will always reflect us back and will give us the hits that we need to receive to release this tension. Because ultimately, life wants us to go back to its natural state. Life, life is constantly inviting us to be in our natural essence, in our soul essence, in the highest soul frequencies, you know, that we're constantly called. And that's also the soul of the earth that's being called to upgrade constantly. So the way that it works is if we hold attention inside as a collective or as a single human
Mm.
being or as a cell, we will receive constant information from the outside reflecting our inner state. For example, if I hold a lot of tension in my liver, something might just kick me in the liver, like hitting myself on the corner of a table in my liver specifically. So how do I approach something that seems so random and like ouch and painful? Is like right away I bring my attention in my organ and I'm like, oh wow, liver, like you're holding some tension here. How, you know, so I'm offering presence right away. And it's a practice again, but if we bring it to the macrocosm, what tensions are we holding inside? What traumas are we holding inside? What stories are we hooked on and attached to that keep the body or the collective body in a state of tension? That if we deeply listen to soul's guidance, it's soul is always telling us release, release,
Mm.
trust, expand, ground, trust. So it will constantly give us the hits. Sometimes it can be a minor hit, sometimes it can be a huge hit. Like everything that's happening right now is a huge hit on all of us. You know, we're all feeling what's happening. And the point here is not to enter in any precise discussion about anything, because our hearts are, you know, cracked open and broken, and we feel so much for everything that's happening. But it's really to bring everything to the center core of the experience and find this essence where there's peace, where there's love, uh, and also embracing our humanness in all of this, because we are human. And by repressing emotions or repressing rage or repressing anger, it's not going to be of service to anybody. So it's not either or, it's
Yeah.
more being at the center of the experience of all.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. For sure. Yeah, that's so deep, and we could go on that subject for a long time. What I really like about what you said is that everything that's going outside is also happening inside. So I think the invitation we have is to pay attention to what's going on in the inside, to understand more maybe what's going on the outside. So yeah, I don't know if you want to say more about that or you want to wrap it up with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's really something that wants to come also like from my heart. It's not to enter obviously into self-judgment or perfection
Mm.
or blame or look at what I'm creating, because it can create this. This is not the point. The point is really being in the human experience and being at the center, and your body will tell you how to respond. And however you respond now is what is, it's the experience that you're living right now, right? And by fine-tuning through practices of meditations or deep embodiment practices like what we're offering here, or any mindfulness tools, any tool that you have that can help you come back to center, that's the suggestion. It's going to reduce the reaction state and this very inflamed nervous system reaction state into something of more response and neutrality, which is ultimately where we want to be standing, in neutrality, having compassion and having our hearts open, but really looking at life from the lenses of neutrality, because this is what's going to prevent the polarities, right? The extremes in our own nervous system, and really help us reduce this pendulum effect of, I go left, 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 but then life is going to bring right, right, right. And then it's action, reaction, constantly. So it's the way that I personally found to be able to to bring things into more peace with my human experience. God knows how much I still have my things to deal with. I'm absolutely not perfect, but I'm constantly in observation in these phenomenons and studying my own body and how it responds. And when I choose the denser frequencies and the denser energies, and when I choose to react, the consequences of this, or when I choose the highest love within my body first, authentically, it cannot come from a mindset, right? It's authentically, there's an inner realization, an inner standing that love shall guide, and the body relaxes, and then right away the response is different and the outcome is totally different. It's most of the time a win-win-win setup that happens, and that's what my heart wants to be saying right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being present with us. And we're praying for peace. We're praying for love. We're praying for everything to be resolved. And yes, we're praying for light. And we're sending much love to everybody. And by all means, contact us if there's anything that we can support with. If you want to dive deep into the modalities here, which is this deep embodiment practice to bring neutrality into your bodies, into your life, contact us, and it will be our pleasure to guide you into the next steps. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.